As we mark the 29th of September 2025, let's pause to celebrate the lives of people we've recently lost and those whose legacies still guide us. This space is all about cherishing their memories and drawing strength from their stories. We'll also reflect on WWE superstar Bron Breakker's recent struggles that continue to move his fans. Subscribe now and help us keep their legacies alive. Mike Sharpe, born on October 28, 1951, was a Canadian professional wrestler whose name became familiar to fans throughout the 1980s and early 1990s. With his tall frame, booming presence, and tireless dedication to the craft, Sharpe carved out a place for himself in the wrestling world, most notably during his run with the World Wrestling Federation, WWF. Sharpe's career began in the late 1970s, and it didn't take long for him to stand out. He brought intensity to every match and quickly earned a reputation as someone who gave his all each time he stepped into the ring. Though many fans best remember him as a villain or heel, Sharpe had a knack for making his opponents look strong, a talent that made him invaluable to promoters and beloved by colleagues. His matches against household names like Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage put him in the spotlight, and even if he wasn't the one having his hand raised at the end, Sharpe always left an impression. While championships never came his way, Sharpe's career wasn't defined by titles. Instead, it was defined by consistency, professionalism, and passion. Fans admired his larger-than-life persona, often punctuated by his famously loud grunts and energetic style inside the ring. Fellow wrestlers respected him as a steady hand who could be trusted to deliver night after night. Outside the ring, Sharpe carried himself with humility and dedication, traits that further endeared him to those around him. Sadly, his life was cut short when he passed away in 2016 at the age of 64. Though he may not have held gold, Mike Sharpe's legacy lies in the countless matches, the memories he gave fans, and the respect he earned as a hard-working journeyman who never stopped giving his best to professional wrestling. James Harris, better known to wrestling fans as Kamala, was born on May 28, 1950, in Senatobia, Mississippi. Long before he became a household name in professional wrestling, Harris grew up in the rural South, where life was often tough and opportunities were limited. Yet he would go on to create one of the most unforgettable characters in wrestling history. Kamala first stepped into the wrestling world in the early 1970s. With his imposing size and presence, it didn't take long for him to get noticed. By the 1980s and 1990s, he had risen to fame in the World Wrestling Federation, now WWE, where he was introduced as the fearsome Ugandan Giant. With tribal face paint, a loincloth, and a mask that concealed much of his identity, Kamala was portrayed as an unpredictable and intimidating force in the ring. Behind the character, though, Harris was a performer who understood how to captivate an audience. His in-ring style was unique, combining raw power with surprising agility for a man of his stature. His signature move, the Kamala Splash, thrilled fans and added to the mystique of his persona. Over the years, he squared off against some of wrestling's biggest names, including Hulk Hogan and The Undertaker, carving out a legacy that made him both feared and admired. Away from the spotlight, Harris battled personal and health struggles. In later years, he faced complications from diabetes, which ultimately led to his passing on August 9, 2020, at the age of 70. Though Kamala's story ended too soon, his impact on the wrestling world remains. He opened doors for African American wrestlers, created a character that fans will never forget, and left behind a legacy built on passion, performance, and perseverance. Antonio Inoki, born on February 20th, 1943, in Yokohama, Japan, was more than just a wrestler. He was a pioneer who transformed the world of professional wrestling and helped lay the foundations of modern mixed martial arts. He passed away at the age of 79, leaving behind a legacy that few in the sport can match. Inoki began his professional wrestling career in 1960, and it wasn't long before his talent and charisma set him apart. Known for his intense training regimen, innovative techniques, and unyielding fighting spirit, he quickly became one of Japan's most celebrated wrestlers. In 1972, he took a bold step that would change Japanese wrestling forever by founding New Japan Pro Wrestling, NJPW, an organization that remains a powerhouse in the sport to this day. Through NJPW, Inoki nurtured generations of wrestlers, helping shape the careers of countless stars while also expanding wrestling's reach both in Japan and internationally. One of the defining moments of Inoki's career came in 1976, when he faced the legendary Muhammad Ali in a match that blurred the boundaries between wrestling and boxing. This groundbreaking event is widely regarded as a precursor to modern mixed martial arts, showcasing Inoki's skill and determination while introducing audiences around the world to a new form of combat entertainment. Outside the ring, Inoki was a man of many passions. He served in the Japanese House of Councillors, showing the same dedication and discipline in politics as he did in wrestling. Despite his fame, he remained deeply committed to the development of young talent and the promotion of wrestling as a global sport. Antonio Inoki's impact on wrestling and combat sports is immeasurable. He was a trailblazer, a mentor, and a showman whose influence continues to be felt decades after he first stepped into the ring. His life was a testament to perseverance, innovation, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. Darren Drozdov, better known to wrestling fans as Droz, lived a life defined by athleticism, resilience, and an unshakable spirit. Born on April 7, 1969, he first made his mark on the football field as a defensive lineman at the University of Maryland, even earning a brief stint with the NFL's New York Jets. But his path took an unexpected turn when he entered the world of professional wrestling in the late 1990s. Droz made his WWF debut in 1998, quickly standing out with his unique personality and fearlessness in the ring. Fans remember him not only for his toughness, but also for his unusual puke gimmick, based on his real-life ability to vomit on command. What might have seemed like a strange quirk actually set him apart, giving him an edge in an era full of larger-than-life characters. He had the versatility to adapt, whether as a solo competitor or part of a team, and his energy made him a memorable presence on screen. Tragically, Droz's career was cut short in 1999 during a match against D'Lo Brown when a devastating accident left him paralysed from the waist down. In that instant, the trajectory of his life changed forever. Yet, rather than retreating from the spotlight, Droz chose resilience. He remained connected to the wrestling world, working behind the scenes and continuing to inspire with his positive outlook. Throughout his life, Droz embodied perseverance. His story wasn't defined solely by the injury, but by the way he handled it, with courage, grace, and an unwavering love for the sport. When he passed away at the age of 54, he left behind more than just memories of his time in the ring. He left a legacy of strength and an enduring reminder of how to face life's toughest challenges head-on. Sherry Martel, born Sherry Russell on February 8, 1958, was one of professional wrestling's most dynamic and influential figures. Known to fans as Sensational Sherry, she carved out a remarkable career as both a performer and manager, leaving a lasting impact on the wrestling world before her untimely passing on June 15, 2007, at the age of 49. Sherry's journey in wrestling began in the late 1970s, and from the very start, she stood out. With her charisma, flair for the dramatic and magnetic presence, she quickly became a force to be reckoned with in the ring and on the sidelines. She wasn't just a manager, she was a performer in her own right, someone who could elevate the wrestlers she worked with and bring storylines to life with a mix of wit, style, and showmanship. Her most iconic work came in World Wrestling Entertainment (WWE), where she managed some of the biggest names in the industry. Perhaps her most famous partnership was with Macho Man Randy Savage. Together, they created unforgettable moments that helped define an era of wrestling. Sherri's influence extended beyond Savage. She also managed Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, and several other high-profile stars. In every role, she had a knack for adding depth, drama, and personality to the wrestlers she guided, making her an indispensable part of their success. Beyond WWE, Sherri's talent and versatility carried her through stints in other major promotions like World Championship Wrestling, WCW, and Extreme Championship Wrestling, ECW. Whether as a manager, wrestler, or on-screen personality, she adapted seamlessly, proving her range and earning the respect of colleagues and fans alike. Tragically, Sherri's life was cut short in 2007 due to an overdose of prescription medications. Her death was a heartbreaking reminder of the struggles many in the wrestling world face. Yet, despite her passing, Sherri Martel's legacy endures. She remains remembered not just for her theatrical flair or memorable moments in the ring, but for her role in shaping careers, storytelling, and the very fabric of professional wrestling. She was, and continues to be, truly sensational. Bronson Rechsteiner, the man WWE fans know today as Bron Breakker, was born on October 24, 1997, in Woodstock, Georgia, into a family steeped in professional wrestling history. From the moment of his birth, the sport seemed almost written into his DNA. As the son of Robert Rechsteiner, better known to wrestling aficionados as Rick Steiner of the legendary Steiner brothers, and the nephew of the iconic Scott Steiner, Bron was surrounded by the law, discipline, and high expectations of a wrestling dynasty. Yet, despite this natural gravitational pull toward the squared circle, Bron's earliest achievements came not in wrestling, but on the football field. He attended Etowah High School, where his combination of size, speed, and determination made him a standout athlete, and he carried that momentum into attempts at professional football. While the path in gridiron never fully materialized, those years were formative. They honed his explosiveness, conditioning, and competitive mindset, traits that would later define his wrestling style. Family stories often highlight Bron's dual nature during these formative years. The quiet, disciplined athlete focused on perfection, but also a natural performer with flashes of charisma that hinted at his eventual destiny in entertainment. These early experiences in sport created a foundation for what would become one of WWE's most physically gifted young stars. Physical presence and early career in WWE. Standing at 6 feet tall and weighing 249 pounds, Bron Breakker combines raw power with surprising agility, a combination that has immediately set him apart in WWE. Even during his earliest NXT appearances, it was clear that he possessed a rare mix of athleticism and intimidation. His wrestling debut was met with significant fanfare, in part due to his impressive lineage, but also because of his undeniable skill set. Breakker's early matches in NXT showcased an explosive style reminiscent of the golden age of powerhouses. Relentless strikes, precision power moves, and a ring presence that demanded attention. Unlike many newcomers, he did not rely solely on the family name. His work ethic, speed, and ability to carry intense matches quickly won over a growing segment of fans. Over time, he captured the NXT Championship twice and held the NXT Tag Team Championship once, milestones that cemented his status as a top-tier competitor within WWE's developmental system. His rise was swift, but it was not without pressure. With every victory came the implicit expectation that he would eventually transition to WWE's main roster, a leap that has historically proven challenging even for talented performers. Main roster arrival and heel turn, Bron Breakker's transition to WWE Raw was accompanied by a significant shift in character, marking the beginning of a new, more ruthless chapter in his career. On the main roster, he aligned with Seth Rollins, one of WWE's most calculated and charismatic performers, and Paul Heyman, the legendary advocate whose fingerprints on some of the biggest careers in wrestling are indelible. This alliance immediately positioned Breakker as a top heel, a menacing force whose power and intensity were amplified by the strategic minds of Rollins and Heyman. In storyline, Breakker plays the enforcer, the unrelenting powerhouse who executes the plans, protects interests, and dominates opponents without hesitation. The transformation from the energetic, smiling NXT standout into a calculating, devastating figure in Raw's hierarchy was striking. His in-ring style evolved as well, blending explosive suplexes and high-impact strikes with a more measured, almost predatory pacing. Fans and analysts alike noted the sophistication in his approach, acknowledging the influence of Rollins and Heyman in shaping a performer capable of handling main event storylines. However, this rapid push has also drawn scrutiny, particularly regarding Breakker's readiness for sustained top-tier exposure, backstage dynamics, and insider perspectives. Behind the scenes, the trajectory of Bron Breakker has been the subject of intense discussion and debate. WWE insiders have frequently remarked that while Breakker's athleticism and presence are undeniable, his relative inexperience has generated concerns about overexposure. Some veteran wrestlers and producers have reportedly described him as green for someone being positioned at the top of the card, noting that his promo skills, while improving, are not yet at the level required for consistent main event storytelling. Early backstage conversations indicate that Seth Rollins himself initially approached the pairing with caution, reportedly concerned about protecting his own credibility while simultaneously elevating a young talent. These discussions, according to sources, were at times heated, reflecting the delicate balance of mentorship, opportunity, and self-interest in a company where narratives are as political behind the curtain as they are in the ring. Paul Heyman's involvement has further intensified scrutiny. Known for meticulously hand-picking his clients, Heyman is said to have advocated fiercely for Breakker, pushing for storylines that preserve his dominance and visibility. While this has undoubtedly accelerated Breakker's rise, some wrestlers fear it could create backstage tension, especially among long-tenured performers who have laboured for years without comparable opportunities. Fan reactions and polarisation. Fan responses to Bron Breakker's heel turn and his high-profile alliances have been mixed, reflecting the tension between excitement over new talent and skepticism about rapid pushes. NXT loyalists who followed his early ascent often praise the intensity and athleticism he brings to the ring, seeing in him a throwback to classic powerhouse wrestlers whose skill sets were enhanced by charisma and determination. Social media platforms have been ablaze with discussions, memes, and debates, particularly concerning whether Breakker represents another Paul Heyman project, akin to Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar, talents whose rapid ascents were closely managed by Heyman's guidance. Conversely, critics argue that Breakker lacks the nuanced promo skills and fully developed persona necessary for sustained main event success. This division is not just academic, it plays a tangible role in how storylines are crafted, audience engagement is measured, and merchandising opportunities are developed, with WWE keenly aware that fan perception can make or break a young star. Health considerations and physical toll. Despite the momentum, Bron Breakker's path has not been without personal and physical challenges. Wrestling at his level of intensity places significant strain on the body, and while no major injuries have been publicly reported recently, sources familiar with WWE's operations have indicated that the company monitors Breakker's health closely due to his rapid rise and frequent high-impact matches. The physical demands of being a main event heel, frequent travel, long matches, and the expectation to maintain peak conditioning create a constant risk of overuse injuries, concussions, and general fatigue. Reports suggest that Breakker is committed to maintaining his conditioning through a strict regimen, but insiders note that the early pressure of carrying top-tier storylines can exacerbate stress, both physically and mentally. The delicate balance between performance, health, and sustainability remains a key concern for WWE as they manage a talent whose potential is undeniable but still developing. Financial pressures and career sustainability. Beyond the ring, financial pressures are another layer of reality that impact Breakker's career trajectory. Despite being positioned as a future main event star, the wrestling industry is uniquely precarious. Guaranteed contracts are rare, and income often depends heavily on merchandising, performance bonuses, and promotional appearances. For a talent like Breakker, the rapid push to prominence carries both opportunity and risk. While the backing of figures like Heyman and Rollins may secure immediate financial advantages, high-profile matches, media exposure, and main event paydays, the long-term sustainability of his earnings depends on consistent performance, fan engagement, and careful brand management. WWE's history is littered with examples of promising talents whose earning potential waned due to injuries, audience disconnect, or storyline missteps. Financial considerations, though less visible to fans, play a crucial role in the decisions behind both on-screen pushes and behind-the-scenes management. The role of Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman. Breakker's current trajectory cannot be understood without examining the impact of his alliances. Seth Rollins, with decades of experience navigating WWE's politics and storytelling demands, serves as both a mentor and a strategic shield, guiding Breakker through complex storylines while protecting his in-ring credibility. Paul Heyman's involvement is equally influential. His reputation for carefully cultivating talent, often leveraging backstage influence to shape storylines, has provided Breakker with a unique platform. However, both relationships also carry risk. Rollins' rumoured plans for future time off due to lingering injuries could leave Breakker exposed as the sole driver of major storylines, a test of both skill and resilience. Heyman's advocacy, while invaluable, may foster backstage tension if other talent perceives favouritism, potentially creating additional hurdles for Breakker's long-term integration into WWE's main roster ecosystem. Upcoming storylines and career challenges. Looking ahead, WWE insiders hint at significant storylines that will test Breakker's ability to carry the company's top-tier narratives. Whispers suggest a potential summer feud against Cody Rhodes or Drew McIntyre, both seasoned performers with deeply established fan bases. These clashes are likely to serve as pivotal moments, not just in storyline terms, but in evaluating Breakker's capacity to maintain audience engagement under pressure. Creative discussions have also reportedly considered a potential breakup with Rollins, leading to a high-stakes rivalry. Such storylines could elevate Breakker to unparalleled prominence or expose areas where further growth is needed. The stakes are particularly high because WWE's creative approach often intertwines in-ring performance with audience perception, meaning Breakker's handling of these opportunities could define his career trajectory for years to come. Pressures of the spotlight and mental resilience. Beyond physical and financial considerations, the psychological dimension of Breakker's career is increasingly significant. The spotlight of WWE's main roster is relentless, with intense scrutiny from fans, media, and colleagues alike. Rapid ascension brings both acclaim and criticism, and for a young performer, the pressure to succeed can be mentally taxing. Breakker's ability to navigate backstage politics, maintain professional relationships, and manage fan expectations is as critical as his in-ring skills. Mentorship from Rollins and guidance from Heyman provide valuable support, but ultimately, the mental resilience of a young star, balancing ambition with patience and strategy, is a determining factor in long-term success. Lessons from wrestling history. Bron Breakker's current position in WWE invites inevitable comparisons to past talent pushed rapidly into the spotlight. For every success story, such as Brock Lesnar or even Roman Reigns after years of evolution, there are cautionary tales of Ryback, Lars Sullivan, or others whose early pushes created backlash or burnout. These historical precedents underscore the importance of pacing, audience connection, and character development. Breakker's lineage, physique, and athletic ability give him a rare advantage, but history reminds both fans and insiders that potential alone does not guarantee lasting stardom. Balancing raw talent with careful storytelling, audience investment, and professional guidance will be crucial to navigating this critical stage of his career. Fan engagement and cultural impact. Despite mixed reactions, Breakker's rise has invigorated WWE's fan base. His matches are consistently discussed on social media, podcasts, and wrestling forums, often sparking debates about his readiness for main event status. The cultural resonance of a second-generation superstar, combined with a modern athletic style and a compelling heel persona, positions Breakker as a figure capable of bridging the gap between traditional wrestling fans and a new generation seeking high-octane, visually impressive performances. Merchandise sales, social media engagement, and storyline visibility all contribute to a feedback loop that influences how WWE positions him moving forward, emphasizing the interplay between performance, audience perception, and commercial impact. The crossroads. A decisive moment. Bron Breakker's career is at a defining juncture, with a powerful physique, wrestling pedigree, and mentorship from some of WWE's most influential figures. He possesses the tools to become a generational talent. Yet, the pressures of rapid ascent, physical strain, financial considerations, and audience expectations create a complex environment where missteps could have long-lasting consequences. The coming months will be crucial. Success will depend not only on athleticism and charisma, but on his ability to manage health, adapt to main event storytelling, and connect with fans emotionally. In many ways, Breakker embodies both the promise and peril of professional wrestling. The capacity to rise to legendary status, tempered by the fragility inherent in a career defined by both spectacle and scrutiny. Conclusion: hope, caution, and the future. For fans and insiders alike, Bron Breakker represents a fascinating case study in talent development and risk management. His alignment with Rollins and Heyman has accelerated his prominence, while simultaneously exposing him to the pressures of sustained main event performance. Rumours of future rivalries, potential time away for mentors, and ambitious storylines underscore the delicate balance WWE must navigate to ensure his growth. Breakker's future will likely be shaped by his capacity to refine his craft, maintain health and stamina, and navigate the intricacies of backstage dynamics and audience engagement. If he succeeds, he could dominate WWE for a decade or more, fulfilling the promise suggested by his lineage and early achievements. If not, he risks joining the ranks of talented performers whose careers, despite flashes of brilliance, never fully realised their potential. For now, fans watch with cautious optimism as Bron Breakker continues his journey, embodying both the excitement and uncertainty that define professional wrestling's highest echelons.